Hi everyone, now I'm going to be tying basically an emerger pattern. Now this is one. I've got 2 or 3 patterns of this. I've got the this one here is the olive. I've got this is just a quilled body. It's basically the quill from the eye of the peacock. It's got a wee bit of herald on it. You've got just a plain version. There's lots of versions or colours, combinations you could tie this emerger pattern. Now this is like basically what we call the curlybum, which is a large midge that comes off. And I was fishing at a small fishery recently, and the curlybum was the main fly that fish were looking at. They're basically feeding at night on it, but there were shucks around and stuff like, so this was the fly it caught for me. The style of fly anyway, so I'm going to be tying it. This is, I say, the yellow owl version of the curlybum. I'm going to be using a light Cahill thread 8/0. Now the hook choice is up to yourself. I'm going to tie it on obviously a standard shank hook. This is an all-purpose medium from Full and Mill. You could tie it in a curved hook, especially for midge. This is representing a large midge, but this fly is really long. It's a good inch long. So when the pupa's coming up, so I like a nice straightish body because it gives a good long sort of impression. And to help that, I'm going to be using, there's a couple of fibres you could use, but Coq de Leon's very good. It gives a very speckle-like, like you can see in that, it's a fibre. This is a whiting Coq de Leon. It's from a saddle, and this is a kind of medium Pardo. So you could use lots of fibres. You could use antron. You could even use, I've got micro here. This is a yellow. If you imagine that one as to give the impression of the shuck, that'll do the same. So you can experiment, mess about with it. But the Coq de Leon, I'm going to be using that. This is the light thread, light Cahill to go with the pattern. So I'm going to start at the eye and put a layer of thread all the way to the back of the hook, all the way down, just to the point before it goes round the bend. I'm going to get some Coq de Leon fibre. Don't be shy with it. Just bring it 90 degrees out from the stem. She'll line up the tips. Now the overall length of the fly, or the midge, it's about an inch, at least an inch. So you're looking for that. And this is like giving the impression of the trailing shuck. So I'm just going to catch that on. Now we trim this 2/3 of the body. So the shank, sorry, so 2/3 of the way up, trim that away. Now for the body, you could use a thread, even itself. The light Cahill is a great colour with a black rib, or what I'm going to be doing here, I've got 2 or 3 fibres. I've got, this is the dyed yellow peacock, the eye feather, which I've bleached. I've taken it back a wee bit. It's got a nice, if you look there, I've stopped it kind of halfway through, and I've still got a run of herald along the edge. So I'm going to tie that on just to show what it looks like. So I'll tie it in fact, I'll use this anyway. Just catch it, tear it off the eye, you get that small curl at the bottom of the fibre, and you can tie that on. So basically take your thread up. Now I want to slightly taper it, so you're 2/3 of the way up, come back down, 2/3 of the way, come back up. And that'll slightly thicken the body. Now because it's a quill, we've got to protect that. So I'm using a super glue just onto the body. And then I'm going to wind all the way up. Now the herald gives a black type fibre to give the give an impression of a rib. To there, happy with that. Obviously screw it in. Break it off once you've got plenty of turns in, or cut it away. So that will give the impression, basically the length of the body. The front part here will give the impression of the fly hatching. So the CDC and a bit of dubbing. So what I do is I always select the large feathers for tying flies like this. These are the extra large, or the large CDC, sorry. There we are. Now these came from a company in Ireland, Premier Angling. I'll put a link to the CDC below the video so you can see it. Now you need to form like a bubble at the back. You need to form like this bubble, as well as the wing. Now this fly, it's a great pattern because it gives the impression that you could use it when olives are coming off, as well as midge. So you've got the shuttlecock effect as well as the bubble at the back, and it basically presents the fly like this. Quite long, obviously gives the impression of the olive at the back. If normally they hatch with the wings coming off the back, whereas you've got the CDC at the front, which gives the impression of the midge. So it's like it's an all-roundy type fly pattern. It really works good. So that's a great pattern, tied in all sizes, and depending on how heavy you want it, you can make it lighter, a wee bit lighter than the dressing. You could make it heavier. It's entirely up to yourself. And you'll even catch when their caddis coming off. So it's a good pattern. But anyway, bring the two feathers together, lay on top of the one another. You've got the natural curve going up and away from the hook. And you want to work with, you've got to form the bubble, and you've got to form the wing. So you're looking for a wing length, at least say the shank length. So there's your shank length there. So you've got that, and then you need the same to form the bubble. So you're tying it in about here. So the first thing you've got to do is bring all these fibres together. Get the length, as I say, double check. And you tie it on the top with the curl going up the way, or the natural curve. Scratch that in there, 3 or 4 turns. Now, you can check to see if you've got enough, put a wee bit more in. So you're going to form like a bubble, hold that, and you're going to have enough fibre here to form, give the impression of the shuttlecock or the midge-like, and that's fine. So then we can trim this away. Make sure you wax your thread here, you need plenty of grip. All the way up, nice and tight. Then basically what I'm going to use, I'm trying to use materials that you can basically source as well. This is a good dubbing from Quill and Wool. This is a light hare's ear, UV. It's got the UV, a bit of gold flash in it as well, which helps. A wee nice wee blend. Good for the thorax. You've got the nice mix, a nice blend. As I say, you can make it loose or you can make it tight to tighten the fly up. It's up to yourself. I'm going to just lightly dub it on. I usually take the thread down a wee bit to say we're in about the eye area, and then I work up into the dressing just to see what I'm doing and keep my fingers away. I can tighten the dubbing up. It's easy dubbing too. It's easy to use anyway. And then we can work our way through, which basically tightens it up slightly. Take away the excess. We can draw back fibres here with our fingers. Leave that headroom there to tie off your CDC. To see how it looks like. Yeah. Leaving these fibres, some of these fibres back, not do the fly any harm. It just adds to it. Or you can pull it tight and then fold it back to form the bubble. So basically what I do is then hold this, pull it tight, and then I'm about, say the body length or the shank length away where my fingers are, then form the bubble. Give my finger and thumb here a pinch, nice and tight. Come over with 3 or 4 turns. You can always go back at this point. I'm just lifting this up just to see where it is, the distance. If you're happy with that, the shape, you need the bubble to help float the fly. You can keep it like that. Just give a wee quick look. What I normally like to do is just put my needle in here, see what the bubble's like, make sure it's fine. If I'm happy with that, then you could zigzag between the shuttlecock, the front of the CDC, or basically the wing, if you want to represent that, gives the impression of the wing. And that's fine, that's perfect. And then what we can do, you can either finish off at the back of the wing or in front. I just run the varnish down here. And then what finished, just lift CDC out the way. Run that up, nice and tight. And there we are. And that there is basically what I would call the Curlybum, or the Curlybum emerger. It's tied basically yellow wool like. You could use, as I said, you can use a quill. You can use all different ways. You could use, there's a dyed olive, and the tail in that there is summer duck. It's not easy to get. So the Coq de Leon's a wee bit better, a wee bit easier, it lasts long. As I say, if you don't want to use that, you can actually even use, this is Glow Bright yarn, white yarn. You could put a few strands of that in. There's lots of things you could give the impression of the shuck of the midge. But that's a good pattern, it's trying to cover a few flies that's coming off. As I say, you could easily represent olives coming off with this fly. And it's very easy to see. You can see it a good mile away, and if you're fishing in the dark, you need everything. You need to see something at least, or in the kind of half light. It's a great pattern, certainly worth tying, and tying it in different sizes. You can reduce, as I say, the dressing to a finer dressing. There's just to give you an idea. It's a wee bit finer, though it's just a sevy. I put a wee bit of dubbing in between here just to tidy it up. You can do that as well. So anyway, there we are. That's the Curlybum emerger. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.